Alright guys, and welcome back finally to another Stogie Lad cigar review. I felt like I really needed to do this one for a couple of reasons, but as you can tell from the title and the cigar I'm holding, it is the number one cigar of the year of 2022, the H. Upmann from my favorite Cuban brand, in the number 2 Vitola. So this is a Torpedo, 52 ring gauge, just like the Monte Cristo number 2. But the reason I'm doing this is not just hopping on the bandwagon of doing the cigar of the year. The reason I'm really doing this is because I came across the exact same box date as the Cigar Aficionado panel smoked themselves. And so that's really why I felt this was a quite unique opportunity to put out the most sort of reflective review that would actually show the closest thing to the exact cigars that they smoked on Cigar Aficionado. So this might be the only review on YouTube that's doing this. I'm not sure, because it's going to be very hard from now on, if not impossible, to find those boxes. And if someone has them by chance, then that would be it. So this is from a May 2022 box, so the exact same box date as the Cigar Aficionado panel reviewed. And I was a little bit surprised that they would give this a 98 points, which is the joint highest they've ever given, which is insanely high, and it's a cigar that at the time they were reviewing it was less than a year old. It's still less than a year old, as this is just a week or two after the review came out. So such a young Cuban cigar giving a 98 points is, for me, it raised my eyebrows a bit. It surprised me. I guessed on some other cigars that would win. But I talked to some friends as well, and I said I wouldn't be surprised if it was a Cuban, because it's been a few years, and it feels like they do like to throw in a Cuban cigar every once in a while to, I don't know, show their legitimacy and see, show that they like all kinds of cigars, I guess. But that's a little bit of the conspiracy theory behind it. But in any case, they gave this a 98. I loved the Upmann brand. I've never had this exact cigar though. It's very difficult to find overall. That's also why I would be very surprised if I see any other reviewers review one from the exact same box date of May 22, because they're, getting any boxes are always really hard to find. So let's dig in. This feels very well rolled. Went with a V-cut as always with my torpedoes. The draw is quite perfect. The thing I will say that bodes well is that the wrappers are very nice on these. They're very oily. They're that medium brown. They are right in the middle of what you kind of want on a Cuban cigar, and like I said, extremely oily. Good flavor so far. Very good flavor. Nice Cuban twang. A little bit of spice. A little bit of woodiness. That's it so far. But it's very balanced for being such a young cigar. There's no harshness or anything so far. This is tasting quite good. I will get back to you guys in the first third when it's developed a little bit more, and see that. Alright, so I'm about 10 minutes in here. It's burning quite slowly, which is nice. The draw is still perfect. The construction's okay. It's very Cuban. The wrapper is a little bit stubborn, so I had to touch it up every once in a while. But other than that, it's burning fairly straight. But what is surprising me here is the level of complexity and the clarity of the flavors that are present here, because it's quite astonishing, especially for such a young cigar. And I am surprised about this. I thought they would be a little bit of bullshitting here, to be honest, but it's very, very creamy. It's light to medium. There's a slight spice tingle in terms of spiciness, but there's also a lot of spice, just, baking spice, gingerbread style flavor, which is super nice. It's very nutty as well. It's got a long finish, and it's like a milky coffee style finish, and I'm very surprised. There's a lot of flavor, and it's all very well balanced and very clear. So far this first third has been surprisingly good. Very, very good. Definitely mid-90s if I were to give it that arbitrary score. So far 98 is still very much a reach, especially with the construction. I'm surprised, if they blind test a lot of these, that they were all burning so perfectly. But other than that, spectacular cigar it is in the first third. So we'll see how it develops, because that's very important, and I'll get back to you guys in the second third. Alright, so I'm about 40 minutes in. It's still burning pretty slow, past the halfway mark a little bit. The construction's a little bit better. I've had to touch it up once since that last update. It's still burning quite well, but it's not perfect. But it's what you sort of expect for a Cuban. Flavor-wise, still light to medium, which is very pleasant. It's very much the Upmann flavor profile. It's still quite nutty. It's got like that almost powdery, like cashew nut style flavor. I'd say the baking spices have gone down a little bit. It's a little more wood forward now, and it's still very creamy. So it's still a very good cigar. That first third was slightly better, but this is still very enjoyable. I'd say it's definitely gone down as well in rating compared to that first third. But I have to point out that it's still probably the best ever young Cuban, as in within a year of rolling that I've ever had. It's still very balanced. It's still extremely complex for its youth. I see why these were very enjoyed by the Cigar Aficionado panel. Still, I'm surprised that they scored as well as they did, but that's more towards the end where I'll reflect on that. But it's burning very slowly. These are quite expensive nowadays after the price hikes. These were about $17 here in Sweden, a little bit less, I guess, with the conversion rates. But it's a big cigar, and if it's burning this slowly, it's not bad. Then again, it's going to be hard to find this box date. With any other box dates, it's going to be a big gamble. But this May 22 one is proving to be very nice. So I'll get back to you guys in the end, give my final thoughts and reflections. But so far, still very good. All right, so I am sort of in the final third here. But I'm sad to report that it has now reached a point quite quickly, turned very fast, to where this is virtually unsmokable. It's burning really poorly all of a sudden. As you saw in that puff I just tried to take, it barely got any smoke. Yeah, better there. But the youth of this Cuban cigar is quite evident right now. It's harsh, it's sour, and it's bitter. This is what you get when you smoke a Cuban cigar with less than a year on it. Most often, the final third really becomes quite sour. It's just not ready to be smoked, really. And I am really, really surprised that they gave these a 98. With the same box date, this is most likely at least very similar tobacco to the ones that they were smoking. I just don't understand how they blind tested several of these, smoked them, probably at least down to more than this, and got a consistent, amazing score. A 98 it's something. So yeah, I'm surprised. I was also surprised in the beginning, as you guys noticed. I was very positively surprised at that point because I thought, okay, maybe they are not completely crazy, but at this point, it's just not a cigar that's ready yet. And I think I'm glad that I have a lot more because I was able to get quite a few of these from that same box date, because I think in a few years these will be incredible, because that first third was already incredible. So the notes are no longer there. Any of the notes that were there in the beginning are gone. It's just sort of tobacco, sourness, bitterness. That's it. At this point, I'm going to drop it. I mean, there's a lot left, and I've been smoking a little bit over an hour now, which is still a decent smoke time, but this is an hour and a half cigar if you're smoking it down to, where you should be. All in all, I think I'll land at like an 89, because the first third was so good. I mean, that was maybe like a 95 or something, 96. The second third was still, low 90s. This last third is virtually unsmokable. So I think, arbitrarily given this like an 89 is something that's decently fair. Still, like I said, over an hour of pretty decent enjoyment, and at the end, just unsmokable. So yeah, a roller coaster of a cigar. Positive surprises and then more negative surprises at the end. Still, it was a very fun experience. I don't know what the bottom line is. I know a lot of people that do blind tastings for magazines and stuff, they don't really smoke it all the way down because they have a lot of cigars to get through and stuff. So perhaps they didn't smoke it to more than this when they were tasting them. We don't really know how Cigar Aficionado works behind the scenes, right? So it's difficult to make a judgment. I think it would be very hard to do a blind testing and give it a 98 if you were not part of the magazine. Like if I were to give this cigar to some friends or whatever, I don't think anyone would come close to those numbers, just because of how bad this last third is, especially. So yeah, take that as you will. There's definitely always conspiracy theories. I'll be happy to hear them in the comments. What do you guys think of the Cigar Aficionado top ratings? Because it's always a controversial subject. Everyone likes to weigh in, including me, obviously, why I'm doing this video. But fun experience. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Happy to be back doing these reviews. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Cheers.